October. And now we come to the 10-minute rule motion on pensions extension of automatic enrolment. I call Mr. Richard Holden.
Thank you very much indeed, Madam Deputy Speaker, and I beg to move that leave be given to bring in a bill to make provision about the extension of pensions automatic enrolment to job holders under the age of 22, to make provision about the lower qualified earnings threshold for automatic enrolment and for connected purposes. And can I just start, Madam Deputy Speaker, by agreeing with your comments just a few moments ago regarding my friends, the honourable members for Hindburn, Rother Valley, Wolverhampton North East, Wolverhampton South West. I think the abuse that they have been receiving recently has been unbelievable, and all of us need to be able to go about our business here in the House and in our constituencies without fear, in order to serve our constituents to the best extent that we can. In addition to those sponsoring, joint sponsoring my bill today, I'd also like to thank the members for Bishop Auckland, Workington, Darlington, Norfolk North, Sedgefield, Stockton South, Barrow Furness, Birmingham Northfields, Dover, Burnley, Hastings and Rye, Grantham and Stamford and Clwyd South, who have also indicated to me their support for the legislation, and that's alongside many other members who have also indicated to me privately that they are very supportive of this legislation. The legislation addresses two sections of the 2008 Act, namely Section 3 and 5, which would lower the age of auto-enrolment to 18, and Section 13, which would lower the earnings limit. And crucially, Madam Deputy Speaker, what it does is it allows the Secretary of State to change these regulations. We're not proposing to, this legislation does not bring in those changes now and automatically, but what it does is it puts it in the hands of the Secretary of State, in accordance with our manifesto, to bring those changes forwards in due course, when the government feels that the time is right for that to happen. And I would like particularly to thank the Pensions Minister, my friend, the Honourable Member for Hexham, who has been so supportive throughout the entire process of looking into this in my private member's bill, a 10-minute rule bill in the last session, and indeed in my bill in this session. So I'd like to thank him very greatly personally. And I'm also very grateful to the Chancellor of the Exchequer, who I spoke to earlier today in a brief meeting, and I look forward to having further fruitful discussions with him in the not-too-distant future. The crucial thing about this legislation is that it's there to drive forwards a major change in policy. And it's worth a huge additional amount of money when you roll it in over a long period of time for people who are in lower paid work and younger workers, people who start work at age 18, up to over trillions of pounds over a 50-year working lifetime of the current labour force. A policy introduced in our Conservative manifesto, recommitted to since the 2019 general election at the dispatch box. The expansion of auto-enrolment is about helping to entrench ambition for people and their futures, and to protect them in retirement. The ambition of people to look after themselves, look after their families, and also provide more for their communities, the very towns and villages that they live in. From North West Durham, this means from Consett to Crook, from Lanehead to Langley Park. It means a transformation, as we've seen with auto-enrolment over the past few years, but an extension of that transformation as big as the share ownership changes of the 1980s and right to buy was under the Conservative administration then, enabling people to look after themselves and provide for their families in the future. At the moment, 3/4 of those aged over the age of 22 are automatically enrolled into a pension scheme, and for every 50 pence, £1 is saved. Yet under the age of 22, that's only 20%. This is a massive difference, and will make a massive difference to the lives of those young workers. For part-time workers, auto-enrolment stands at under 60%, compared to over 90% of workers in full-time jobs. If we assume a move from 22 to 18 will bring about a similar take-up, this bill will see an extra roughly third of the part-time workforce auto-enrolled, an increase of 50% from the present numbers. This would mean millions of people, mostly women, those from minority communities and those who are socially disadvantaged, being brought into lifetime savings for their futures. These are the lives of the people this bill seeks to make a difference to. Analysis by Onward, a think tank, shows exactly where these people tend to be located. They're in places like North West Durham, places like Workington in Cumbria, Hindman in Lancashire, Mansfield in Nottinghamshire. They're the parts of the Red Wall that this party won at the last general election. as well as from large parts of the South West, Midlands, Scotland, North Wales and the North East. They're from areas of the country which are seeking that broad transformative change that this party is seeking to deliver in government. Let me give a couple of examples. First of all, full-time work on a national living wage would gain almost an extra £100,000 by that increase over their lifetime, a 60% increase on today. And that's not money which goes out all in one block. It's small savings over time, after it's been introduced, after the next general election. It's about incremental change to make real differences to people's lives. And for younger workers, the average person working full-time on a living wage between 18 and 22 would pay in just a few £100s a year, literally a few pounds a week. But that difference, with 50 years of compound interest, could see £25,000 to £30,000 added to the pension pot at the end of their life. That is a huge, huge difference. £1,000 paid in over 3 years could increase 25, 30,000 at the end of their life because of compound interest. This is the one that really astounds me, though. People earning around £9,000 from 2 separate jobs. At the moment, maybe working 12, 18 hours a week, juggling around childcare or caring responsibilities. They don't get the benefits at the moment of auto-enrolment at all. Under this legislation, somebody in that position would see their pension savings almost tripled to up to £300,000 over a lifetime. That might be somebody who can give a deposit to their children, really help themselves out in retirement, giving them that comfort and perhaps to look after younger members of the family in later life, and give them security in retirement and old age, not reliant on the state, but self-reliant. These are the people these are the people in my constituency. These are real examples from people that I've met. And these are the sort of people that this party should be doing everything it can to help long-term savings of into the future. The government's programme of expansion of auto-enrolment has been fantastic. It's not hyperbolic to say that this is one of the best changes we've seen in this country over the last 10 years. But now, with all that evidence of the huge positive impact that this can have, it is a no-brainer to say we need to extend auto-enrolment to those 18 years plus. It's absolutely outrageous that at the moment the legislation says to graduates, as soon as you graduate, you'll be auto-enrolled, but to my kids, the 70% of whom leave school aged 18 and go into work, that you aren't auto-enrolled until you're 22 years old. I think it's a scandal, and it's something that we need to deal with. And also, those young people, the more they save and the sooner they save, the more they get into a routine of it, the more they're providing for themselves and providing for their security in retirement. This is a serious piece of legislation that could make serious change. It's about bringing people security in their old age at minimal cost to them when they're younger. It's about engineering a revolution for working-class people undertaking, amongst other things, apprenticeships. These changes were actually initially thought of back in the late 70s, and then again talked about in the late 1990s. But it's only now that that this is being really pushed for through this private members' bill, a real expansion to everybody, so everybody has their own pension in addition to their state pension in retirement and can have that comfort in old age. We must table legislation now so that businesses can prepare for the future. There is no better way, particularly to help low-paid workers in constituencies like mine, people who've gone through the pandemic, gone through sometimes in very great difficulty in the retail sector, in the care sector. These are the ones who will directly benefit from this legislation. And we must be clear here. This policy will have no fiscal impact before the next general election. It will just create the primary legislation necessary for the implementation of this bill without tying their hands to a specific timing for future ministers. It leaves the details of that secondary legislation for the future government to stipulate and ultimately implement. The aim of this is to not tie anyone's hands, but to get legislation ready to go. It's to give a signal to business and a signal to society, to working people, that we're on their side. This legislation will transform the lives of millions of working people. Not in great jobs, often, but in low-paid work, the backbone of our country. Votes that were lent to us at the last general election, and we have to deliver on. Alongside changes like Solvency II, this could also help put cash into communities like North West Durham to help provide that extra private sector money to deliver the levelling up we need, because it can't all be through government and taxpayers' cash. It's about how you deliver long-term investment outside of metropolitan London. We need to think creatively and constructively about how we do that, Madam Deputy Speaker, To me, this seems the clearest, easiest ways to do it, in a way in which also benefits the working people of this country, and I commend this bill to the House.
The question is that the honourable member have leave to bring in the bill. As mayors that opinion, say aye. Aye. Of the contrary, no. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. Who will prepare and bring in the bill?
Robbie Moore, Sean Bailey, Nicola Richards, Miriam Cates, Simon Jupp, Mark Eastwood, Anthony Brown, Aaron Bell, Jonathan Gullis, Sir Gavin Williamson and myself, Madam Speaker.
Richard Holden.
Yeah.
Pensions. Extension of automatic enrolment bill.
Second reading what day?
Friday the 28th of October.
Friday the 28th of October. Thank you. We now come to the